Good afternoon, everyone. I would first just like to give a big thank you for having me today. For those who don't know me, my name is Elise Keck, and last year I was one of the two outbounds who went on exchange. So first, I'd like to introduce where I was living for 8 months. I went to Spain, and I'm not sure if any of you are familiar, but I was in a southern city called Marbella. It was right on the southern coast, so it was, a beach city like Newport, but it was much bigger. Some of the pictures I have here at the far left, within my city, we had a very cultural old town, so that was a picture I had of that. And you can see the picture of me standing with one of my friends. We went on this long walk that was, I'm trying to think of how to explain it. It's translated to English and it's called the Walk of the King. And it's kind of between two cliffs and you're looking down and you see this big river. So that was definitely very scary. But again, as I said, we were living in a beach city. So I have a picture of the beach that was in my city. I was also in a province, and the biggest city in my province was called Malaga. So I have a few pictures of that as well. And a little fun fact, I actually didn't know this until I went to Spain, but Pablo Picasso was from that city. So I thought that was very interesting. And there's definitely lots of people visiting that because of that. So those are kind of like the little demographics of my city. I noticed compared to other cities in Spain, my city had a lot of internationals, and especially, for example, in my class, I had like a student from Russia, there was a student from South Africa. So for me, that was almost a little surprising, I would say, because I believed when I went to Spain that, I would be the only foreigner. So it was great to see other people from different countries and kind of have that connection and to see like, where all these other people from. So for me, that was really interesting. If you could go to the next slide, please. And then I, of course, had to present some of the food. There was so much food I had, but some of my favorites here at the top left, they are called patatas bravas. And it is kind of like a little fried potato and it has a spicy cheese sauce. And here, the little egg omelet is called tortilla. And it's what my host mom would make very often, and I always loved when she made it. It's like an egg omelet and it has potatoes, and it's actually controversial in Spain if it should be with onions or without. I found lots of Spanish people that had very heated arguments over this, but I'm team tortilla with onions, so that's what I believe. And then in the middle here, it's actually not a Spanish food, but my host dad was actually from Argentina. So we had often lots of Argentinian like barbecues, and he also made empanadas. And there was a time where I helped him make the empanadas, and that's what I took a picture of. So that's what's in the middle. And then here you can see kind of towards the right at the bottom, this is one of Spain's most famous dishes, and it is called paella. It is a rice dish, and it can have chicken, it can have seafood. There it had actually chicken and shrimp, and I believe mussels. It was really good. It was really good. And in the top right corner, it's not really that special, but I kind of just wanted a picture that depicts kind of like what we ate from day to day. Because I found, especially within dinners, we would have lots of food that we would just have on little platters and share, if that makes sense. So I thought that was kind of like a little bit of an accurate representation of what I was eating every night. So I just thought to include that. If you could go to the next slide, please. Okay. And I'm not sure how many of you were here for when I did it, but there was actually a Europe trip I had near the end of my exchange year. It was in June, and it was a total of 16 days. And in total, it was 50 exchange students from Spain and also from the Netherlands. And we first started in Paris, which is on the top left corner. And we traveled in a double-decker bus all the way to Venice in Italy. And we visited around 10 cities. So I just wanted to share a few of my favorite pictures of my favorite cities. Here I have France, and then Amsterdam, and then I have Venice. And actually we visited the Czech Republic, and we visited Prague, and there were so many big, huge cathedrals and churches that we saw. So I just wanted to include that picture too. But I'm mentioning this because last year I actually had a fundraiser here within the Rotary Club, and I had a bake sale. So bringing back to that, I would just like to give a little extra thank you for that, for you guys making this trip possible for me, because it really was a great trip and honestly one of the highlights of my exchange year. So I just wanted to share a little bit about that too. And here's pictures of my host family and my friends from my exchange year. There's a lot of pictures I had, and there's a lot I could share about this, so I kind of wanted to make I wanted to include a lot together. Again, there were so many pictures I had, so I kind of had to be selective. But I think these are some of the best pictures, I guess, from my exchange year, and they definitely have lots of memories. I have some pictures right there in the middle is my host mom and my dad when I first landed in the airport. It was after I took 3 planes. It was over 24 hours of travel. I remember being so tired. And I actually, as soon as I got home, I slept for 18 hours. And then I had a train ride straight to Madrid all by myself because we had a Rotary Exchange student orientation. So that was definitely very, I would say nerve-wracking, but it was really great. I'm trying to think about what else I'd like to share. I'm sorry, I apologize because I didn't realize it may be hard to see. But if you guys can see, there's a big group of us at the bottom. We're also a group of us holding flags. Those were all the exchange students that went on Euro tour. Yeah, there was a lot. And then also one of my favorite pictures is at the bottom. We're sitting at a table. It's me and my host family and a couple of my friends. That was actually my birthday dinner. And my host family surprised me and invited a couple of my friends and planned this whole dinner out for me. So it was really great. And it was also one of the highlights of my exchange year, I would say. Yeah. And these are a couple more pictures. I'm sorry, I'm having such a hard time explaining it. But here on the left is my host mom and I. And to get a little more into it, I feel like my exchange year was definitely a little bit less typical than other exchange years because I ended up only having one host family. So I can understand where there's, like the idea of having multiple host families is to get new experiences. And I do think that is a good thing, but one thing about my host family and how I lived with them for the whole 8 months is that I really grew a strong connection with them. And at the end of the day, and by the time I left, it really felt like a family. It didn't just feel like someone I was living with for a few months. So I'm going to be honest with you, it's a little bit hard to talk about because it definitely is a little emotional, I would say. Yeah. So yeah, that's my host mom. That was a picture of me at my graduation. I had that in June. It was the end of my school year. And that is my host mom. And I should have included another picture of my host dad. And I also had a host brother. He was 14, and they had a daughter who was actually studying in New Hampshire while I was abroad. So I was able, when I first arrived to Spain, I was able to connect with her and ask her, hey, like, how is your exchange going on, like, in the United States? And I was asking her for tips and all this stuff. So I'm going to be honest with you. Before I went on my exchange, I was definitely, I think as every exchange student, they're really excited to go see all of these cool places and try all the food And it's cool to know that now I can speak a new language, and I think all these aspects of the exchange are really important. But for me, my biggest takeaway and the thing I've resonated most with is definitely the connections I've had because of my exchange year. And again, it's a little bit, it's definitely hard to talk about. I'm just trying to find words for it. I feel like to me that was the most the most moving thing I've taken out from my exchange is just seeing how big someone who used to be a stranger can have on your life, how big of an impact they can have on your life. My exchange year also has really motivated me almost to go out of my comfort zone and to do things I'm, uncomfortable with or things that I find challenging. Because before I went on my exchange, I never traveled outside of the United States. I never even traveled alone. So getting on that plane initially from Portland was very scary. And also I remember arriving in Spain and I thought I had a pretty good understanding of Spanish. When you get there, it's gonna be a humbling experience. I will say that. So that's definitely one of those things. And it was also really cool just to be able to have these connections with other people. And especially at the end of the year, meeting all the exchange students and seeing where all of them are from. And it was really cool how we kind of had this commonality of, this is something we're all new at. This is all something we're trying our best to do. And this is all, just a new experience for us. And I have a couple friend groups from my exchange year, and we still keep in contact. And we talk about, like, what if in 5 years we did a reunion or whatever. So it's just really great to have that. I have a couple of people in Spain already asking me, oh, you should come down this summer. Like, you need to buy a plane ticket now and come visit us this summer. Like, so I would say for me, that was the most touching thing from my exchange. And especially with my host family, I feel like I really got lucky with my host family. I was talking to my host mom last night about it, and I was telling her how I have this presentation. And I've been told, like, my host mom and I, we just talk about random things. We talk about, I was telling her about my homecoming, and she's like, oh, you need to show me your dress. Like, you're gonna look so beautiful. I showed her, like, if I bake something, I send her a picture, and she's like, oh, that's great. She'll send me pictures of her life and her family and the trip she's done. So, yeah, I just want to, I really want to give such a big thank you to Rotary Club for making this possible, because standing here now, I feel it's almost like a shocking experience to know that I'm back home and to think that I actually experienced this. Because I remember my freshman year, I don't even think I ever heard of Rotary. I really only got into Rotary Interact my sophomore year. And that is when Amy Thompson came to the school and introduced Rotary Youth Exchange. And I remember being a little hesitant about it. And then I kind of started to follow through about it, and I brought it home to my dad. And he was definitely hesitant about it too. So it's been really inspiring almost to me to know that there was something that I had almost little experience at, and something that was so far out of my comfort zone, and to know that it's something I accomplished, and to come back home with the knowledge from my exchange year, because I feel like there's so many things I learned from my exchange year that I wouldn't have learned from staying just in school. So yeah, I feel like it was really inspiring and I learned a lot. And it's definitely an experience I'll carry with for the rest of my life. So I just want to give such a big thank you to Rotary Club for making this possible.